So there's actually a really cool passage in the Unfinished Tales that I'm going to read as well, which gives us a glimpse of the White Council meeting in the year 2851. And in it, Saruman was advised against an attack on Dol Guldur. So reading here, during the council meeting, it says that Gandalf sat apart while Saruman spoke against him, and he urged that, contrary to Gandalf's advice, Dol Guldur should not yet be molested. And continuing here, he says, both the silence and the smoke seemed greatly to annoy Saruman, and before the council dispersed, he said to Gandalf, quote, when weighty matters are in debate, Mithrandir, I wonder a little that you should play with your toys of fire and smoke while others are in earnest speech. But Gandalf laughed and replied, you would not wonder if you use this herb yourself. You might find that smoke blown out cleared your mind of shadows within. Anyway, it gives patience to listen to error without anger. So it's a serious dig. He's like, I'm just chilling here and you're spewing such nonsense, but I don't mind because I'm high as a kite. Yeah. So Saruman was pretty annoyed by this, and he answered coldly. It says, you jest, Lord Mithrandir, as is your way. I know well enough that you have become a curious explorer of the small, weeds, wild things, and childish folk. Your time is your own to spend if you have nothing worthier to do, and your friends you may make as you please. But to me, the days are too dark for wanderers' tales, and I have no time for the simples of peasants. Then it says that Gandalf did not laugh again, and he did not answer, but looking keenly at Saruman, he drew on his pipe and sent out a great ring of smoke, with many smaller rings that followed it. Then he put up his hand, as if to grasp them, and they vanished. With that, he got up and left Saruman without another word. But Saruman stood for some time silent, and his face was dark with doubt and displeasure. So,
it just makes me think that, like, Tolkien definitely came into contact with some other professors who, you know, were like, Professor, can you please put your pipe out? Like, that's very distracting when we're trying to talk about serious matters here. And he's like, hold your pipe down there, over there.
He's like, I'll show them in my book.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're going to write you and you're going to be the bad guy.
Yeah. But the cool thing there is the last part that I was saying about, like, the smoke, blowing the smoke rings. And then trying to grab at the rings as well. Because that action kind of fueled Saruman's paranoia.
It's a metaphor for Saruman.
Yeah, well, he was like kind of going, because then Saruman was wondering if those were representing the rings of power. And there's actually another part in the book that suggests that this is a warning from Gandalf to Saruman that the rings of power would eventually elude him. That, like, he was trying to grasp them and they were just disappearing, these smoke rings. So it was like, no matter how much you try, you're never going to be able to get them. So
yeah,
interesting.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a cool little metaphor for him. I also just like how I love that the way that Saruman is like thinking that Gandalf is, you know, hanging out in the Shire, because he's like, oh, he did, the ring is definitely there, but it's just all about the kush.
Got the great prices, man.
No, yeah, it's all about the ganja. Saruman, then like having to send his own little scouts and spies, bring
because
that kush
you know,
to me.
Yeah, because, you know, like in the Fellowship of the Ring, the movie, he says, like, the love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind. So he's like slagging him off for smoking. Yeah. But then in the Return of the King, we find in the extended edition where Merry and Pippin raid one of his stores, he's got 2 big barrels of pipeweed. So that's something cool as well that they put that in the movie as well.
That is cool. So I never thought about that. I kind of just assumed, like, I know they call it Saruman. What do they call it? Saruman, his like storehouse or storeroom. But like, I didn't know that was all for Saruman. I thought, like, maybe that's for, you know, some of the staff and the clientele that are working in Isengard. Like, maybe not the Uruk-hai, but I don't know. Surely there's some men.
No, that was Saruman's private stash. That's what it was.
But it's on the wall.
Anyway.
It's like built into the wall, isn't it? I would have thought like all Saruman stuff is like in Orthanc itself.
I don't know. Well, I mean, you know, we don't know where. I don't remember if it says in the book where his actual little like storage, his little pantry was. I'm not sure. Maybe he had one inside the Tower of Isengard, but they just showed it in the movies out there where the boys were.